The purpose of this video is to demonstrate methods for sharpening chainsaw chains with an Oregon grinder. First, we're going to look at the various controls. This is the chain stop. With it, you can adjust the amount of metal that is removed from the cutter each time you lower the grinding wheel. This is the side plate angle index. This is the top plate angle index. This shows the top plate angle and the wheel when the top plate angle is adjusted correctly before sharpening. In order for cutters to perform well, and also so that they can be easily resharpened in the field, the wheel needs to be radiused with a dressing block. The radius should be about the same as the file you would use to sharpen the chain. The gauge that comes with the grinder can be used to get the desired radius. This is the grinding wheel radius gauge. It will show you when you have dressed the wheel to the correct radius. Now we'll adjust the top plate angle. Move the index mark to 30 degrees. Tighten firmly so that you won't change the angle when you operate the vise. Now, set the gullet depth with a depth adjust screw. First, back off the chain stop screw so that the wheel is over the lowest part of the gullet. Then use the depth adjust screw to lower the wheel until you just feel it touching the chain. Next, slightly raise the wheel with the operating lever and readjust the chain stop so that the wheel just contacts the cutter. Operate the chain vise and recheck to make sure that the cutter is just contacting the wheel. Fine. Now we'll start cutting the first pass. For the first pass, I prefer a very light cut, less than 0.2 millimeters. It just evens all the cutters and lowers the gullet for fast chip removal in the cut. If the chain is damaged or has been hand filed, more passes may be needed until all damage is removed and or all cutters have the same length and top plate angle. Remember that one complete turn of the chain stop will advance the cutter 1 millimeter. To prevent overheating the metal, only turn the adjustment screw 1/4 to 1/3 rotation for each pass. That will cut 0.2 to 0.3 millimeters with each pass. Use quick, firm strokes that will leave the wheel touching the cutter for just a fraction of a second to prevent overheating. As stated before, take as many passes as required to remove all the damage and poor workmanship. With each pass, inspect the cutters. You will see when they are done. Then you'll be ready for the final pass, which cuts the correct radius into the side plate and the top plate. For the final pass, it's a good idea to redress the wheel since it has probably lost all of its radius by now. Check it with a gauge. Remember that after dressing the wheel, you have to readjust the chain stop and depth screw. Adjust the depth screw so that the cutter's point, or beak, is just at the edge of the radius. This positions the radius correctly for the side and top plates. This is the final pass. As explained earlier, the depth screw needs to raise the wheel out of the gullet just enough so that the wheel imparts a curve to the cutter's surfaces. Set the chain stop to remove 0.2 millimeters to 0.3 millimeters. Use the same quick action. Don't press down as hard as when you were cutting the gullets, but go all the way to the depth stop point that you set. When you are finished, set the top plate angle adjustment to 30 degrees on the opposite side and repeat the entire process there. When you've finished the second side, measure to see if the top plates on both sides are close to equal in length. A tolerance of 0.2 millimeters should be acceptable. If they are not within tolerance, remove the amount of metal required from the longer side. This vid is just an intro into Oregon Grinders 101. There were some omissions for the sake of simplicity. Master what you see here and you will be able to move on to the finer points on your own. Bear in mind that a chain sharpened this way or any other way will not cut well until you tend to the depth gauges, also called rakers. There are various methods for that. My next video will be about how to do that with an Oregon grinder. If you want to sharpen with an Oregon grinder or a Tecumseh grinder, you need to have a chart that shows all the settings. That chart comes with the Oregon manual. If you don't have the manual, download the charts from Oregon and Still websites. Google is your friend. Please leave comments and questions after viewing. In the end, it isn't about the correct method. It's about how well the chain cuts. Have a look.